Dutch trader blamed for Arnhem loss. That is the headline of one of the articles I found in this week's database search. This discussion thread was by far my favorite for multiple reasons. I've never used this search database before. I was a journalism major undergrad and have worked at newspapers, and I found lots of great articles. In the ProQuest Historical Newspapers database search, I thought hard about what a search term or terms to use. I ended up using only one, Arnhem. Arnhem is an interesting term related to Operation Market Garden. Arnhem was the city where the final objective of the operation was located and not successfully achieved. The Arnhem area was where a British airborne division was decimated and never reconstituted. And Arnhem is the single most well-known word related to Operation Market Garden. Even in U.S. military history, this location means more than, let's say, Nijmegen or Eindhoven, which were the major Dutch cities successfully captured by the two U.S. airborne divisions that participated. For example, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, it's Arnhem that's used to commemorate Operation Market Garden, so virtually ignoring the U.S. contribution and focusing on that of the British. As I narrowed down the results for this project, I focused on the Dutch resistance efforts and how they were blamed for Operation Market Garden's failure. Our instructions were to also complete a background research on the topic for context, which I have done. And I think I can show this context with the 6 articles I selected, which cover a 41-year period and show a back and forth between the British and the Dutch pointing fingers at each other. The first British public blame of the Dutch for the Market Garden failure is reflected by the 1945 article mentioned at the beginning, Dutch trader is blamed for Arnhem loss. The article included, quote, the strength and suddenness of the German resistance when the British Red Devil parachute division descended on the Dutch city aroused the suspicion that they'd been tipped, unquote. The article stated that the Dutch trader was in custody and being held in the Tower of London. This trader was not named in the article for security reasons. The next 2 articles were from the summer of 1950. In The Spy Did Not Betray Men of Arnhem, Dutch Army Statement, the Dutch Army officially countered the claim that a Dutch double agent caused the Market Garden failure. The story, Mistakes Not Treason, Cost Patriots Lives, Dutch Criticize British Secret Service, followed the release of an official Dutch government commission report that studied the accusations. The Dutch trader Christian Lindemans, codenamed King Kong, was mentioned in both of these articles. The next article was a movie review from the movie Betrayed that came out in 1954 and starred Clark Gable and Lana Turner. While the article stated that the real spy did not look like Turner, it said, quote, there is documented evidence that an actual Nederlander spy let the Nazis know of the plans for the Arnhem diversion and thus had the enemy prepared, unquote. The last 2 articles are tied to Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, although 24 years apart. In 1962, Prince Bernhard, when interviewed for a biography, blamed Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery for serious errors that led to the failure of Market Garden. In 1986, Prince Bernhard was accused of knowing and championing trader King Kong, Christian Lindemans. This article came after a letter written in 1957 by British officer Peter Stainsforth was found in the Dutch Army archives. Stainsforth wrote the letter to counter the view that Operation Market Garden disaster was the fault of the British. These 6 articles show the blame game related to intelligence and Operation Market Garden's failure, specifically focused on the Dutch resistance. They cover a 41-year period, but this blame game continues today, almost 80 years after the operation. Interesting project.